What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris, and the Tactical Response Update is almost here. With one more day to go, we've gotten the patch notes early here. So today, let's go through these patch notes and talk about what's coming in the Tactical Response Update tomorrow. This update has been long awaited by the GZ community now, but as they say, good things come with time. So now, let's not waste any more time on our end and dive into these patch notes. So the Tactical Response Update patch notes read as follows. Greetings, survivors. The day has finally come. The Tactical Response Update is almost upon us, releasing at 10 a.m. tomorrow on the 25th of May, and that's 10 a.m. Sweden time. Without further ado, let's get right into the patch notes. Firstly, Procedural Missions. With the Procedural Missions, we're introducing something we're thrilled about. A way to deliver missions to all players on a weekly basis that, through certain randomized aspects, ensures that no two players will play exactly the same mission, unless they're playing together, of course. It also allows us to expand on this concept and add more mission types to the mix in future updates, offering both new and experienced players a fresh mission every week. Right now, we're launching this new feature with 3 different missions, one of which will spawn anywhere in the hosting player's world as soon as they start their game. First up, Anomalous Signal. A strange signal has been picked up coming from somewhere on the island. Investigating it, players find that a malfunctioning machine is calling in beacons. Repair Station Removal. An old army repair station for the machine prototype field tests has been found. Since this could still be used by the machines to repair and refuel, it's best if it's disabled. There might even be some good stash of resources left there. And lastly, Phoenix Outpost Sabotage. Reports have come in about new, high-value Phoenix outposts being spotted around the island. These outposts are great places to scavenge for resources, but more importantly, sabotaging them will help keep Phoenix from taking over. The individual missions take between 10 and 20 minutes to complete, and of course offer a reward in the form of some sweet loot. You can never go wrong with sweet loot, and I think it's really interesting that no two player will play the exact same mission here. I think that is a very interesting aspect to these new procedural missions. Next up, Building Blocks Voiceover. The Building Blocks mission has been updated with voiceover conversations between Pontus and Therese. While the mission remains the same, new players will get to hear new conversations and radio chatter between the two characters as they work their way through the mission. And hopefully alongside that will come some effective fixes for the Building Blocks mission itself. Now for the paid DLC coming with the Tactical Response Update. The Tactical Equipment Pack number 2 Electric Boogaloo. Expand your arsenal with these 5 finely crafted pieces of guerrilla equipment. Used to spy, scout, distract, or destroy, the contents of this premium DLC provides players of all playstyles with something new to enhance their combat effectiveness or just have some fun. The pack contains the Toy Car Lure, a modified RC car with a radio strapped on top. Once placed on the ground, this car will drive away from you at top speed with its radio at maximum volume. This lure is great for drawing enemies away from you in a sticky situation. The Sensory Jammer. The Sensory Jammer creates a specifically tuned EM field when it's turned on. This field interferes with the senses of any machine in range, making the player practically invisible. The Hacking Dart, a lightweight lawn dart modified with a magnet to stick to the machines, and a contact hack device. The dart is built to be thrown quite far and accurately, allowing you to hit enemies with it from relative safety. Once attached, the device disrupts the friend or foe identification system of the machine it's attached to, causing it to attack any other machine on the battlefield. The effect lasts until the device's battery runs out. Then the remote-controlled Tick. This modified Tick has had its navigation system overridden, allowing it to be controlled via an RC car transmitter. For good measure, a homemade pipe bomb has also been attached to it. This allows you to directly control the Tick, sending it into the midst of unsuspecting machines to scout them out and blow them up. And last but not least, the portable homing turret. This portable turret is a potent weapon against both ground and airborne targets alike. It fires small, guided rocket-propelled grenades in salvos of 3. These guided munitions lock on to any nearby machine, meaning that nothing is safe when one of these turrets is active. Along with the base amount of each equipment that's added to your storage box, you of course also get the blueprints needed to craft more of them. What's stopping you from unleashing an army of RC toy cars on the machines? Absolutely nothing. Are you ready to deal with the machine threat in never-before-seen ways? Buy the Tactical Equipment Pack 2 today or tomorrow. Then we've got some small quality of life improvements. The Vintovka has been added to the Wolf's loot table as well as the Firebirds. Also, there is now a form of bad luck protection to make sure you can get it after a certain amount of tries. Happy hunting for the Vintovka. The emergency broadcast sound also that some of the TVs make has been adjusted to a quieter sound on a different wavelength to reduce the chance of triggering tinnitus in players. Please let us know if you still experience tinnitus in any part of the game so we can continue to improve. I'm really hoping that the TV changes will be great for people overall because tinnitus sucks, man. And then lastly, before the bug fixes, some performance improvements. Both Xbox and PlayStation have received several performance improvements that will help alleviate some of the crashes some players, especially on old-gen consoles, are experiencing. We're currently working on a hotfix that will introduce even more crash fixes and performance optimizations for consoles. Please let us know about your experience as we're adding these changes. So to all my console brethren out there, I'm really hoping that these performance improvements will have a massive impact, especially folks on old-gen consoles, so PS4 and the original Xbox One and stuff. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you guys and hoping for good news. Now, with the bulk of the update out of the way, let's get into the bug fixes, because the bug fixes really matter in this update. First up, for crafting, materials used for crafting but stored in the plunger used to be displayed as available for crafting but couldn't be used until transferred to the player's inventory. Crafting will automatically access your plunger storage as well now. And then the Soviet weapons pack ammo can now be crafted. That's funny because I never had an issue with Soviet ammo crafting, but I've used ammo packs for them for a long time now. But the plunger changes are a great change because that allows us to utilize the brand new crafting system even more fluidly. For audio, they fixed an issue where sometimes the wrong ambience or reverb would trigger indoors or underground, and they fixed an issue where the first shot of automatic weapons triggered twice, and that second fix is awesome to see. For machines, community reported one, the Reaper will now properly fight back against the Soviet machines, and another community reported one, machines no longer start rapid firing when damaged while shooting. No way, the return fire bug has finally been fixed. Fantastic. So good to see that one get fixed. Oh man. Next up, for base assaults, they fixed the collision on walls with a spotlight again. Now for some gameplay fixes, community reported Tylovan control point no longer resets when launching the game after updating. This will sadly not reinstate already lost bases. They fixed some control points having the base defense prompts offset slightly to the left. Building blocks doing the mission in multiplayer sometimes block the client from claiming their own base. This is no longer the case. Building blocks no longer auto-completes if the player had good news active before the update. Sorry, speedrunners. They fixed command centers sometimes being invulnerable during base assault. They fixed clients being able to start base defense missions in someone else's world, which that's a huge fix. And then they reclaimed arrows now disappear for all players in a lobby. Again, I cannot state how happy I am to see this fix though, for clients being able to start base defenses in someone else's world. I never thought that that was right, and now it will be the host only, so there won't be any more cases of griefing to players' bases, which is fantastic. For missions, an invitation mission, they fixed a bug where the last objective could disappear from the host's log and the whole mission would disappear for the client. An invitation, they fixed an issue where the redacted would not appear. And then lastly, for an invitation, they fixed mission progress transferring incorrectly between clients and hosts. For UI, skins, sometimes weapon skins preview screens could break if the gun has a non-default magazine or barrel installed. They now display correctly. Vesselin Warboard was missing the building blocks mission for some players when interacting with it for the first time. It's now back. The chat box no longer overlaps with the Warboard UI. They fixed the crosshair reappearing when opening the weapon wheel while on a bike or a bicycle. The Resistance Heavy Bow charge meter is now visible again. The DLC showcase now updates correctly when navigating the menu. Community reported for the Tubular Vanity Pack. The cheer emote no longer shows up twice in the player's menu. And lastly, for another castle, the generator button could still be interacted with after turning it on. Now we've got unlimited power! For VFX, the Tactical Equipment Pack, Molotov Cocktail AoE damage no longer expires before the visual effect ends. And lastly, for the world, players can now shoot through the windows of sheds, and they fixed missing collision on part of the wall in Cosberg. For known issues, on PlayStation, the game sometimes crashes when firing the experimental AG4 at machines, so on PlayStation, maybe avoid the EXP AG4. And then, using the small EMP cell can rarely break the first-person model. Gameplay, the Resistance Bow, explosive arrows do not deal damage to Phoenix Outpost generators, so don't use them for now. The host might not see the player character of the client when the client is riding a motorbike. Turrets and Phoenix bases sometimes don't play their explosion effect when being destroyed. Then, equipment and weapons. Some throwables don't last as long as they should after being thrown, and the reload animation for the Vintovka in multiplayer is always the full reload. UI, the UI screens can overlap when pressing multiple buttons at the same time, and the bike tutorial might play for all players in multiplayer instead of just the one triggering it. So there we go, from some massive fixes that I'm really glad to see, to the new randomizing missions that will create unique experiences for us all to enjoy. The new pack seems really interesting too, with a lot of unique items to use. But most of all, I want to know, what do you dudes think of this update on paper? We'll be having my first impressions tomorrow alongside a review for the new equipment pack, so stay tuned. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.